Any advice for purchasing at the end of January? We need a second car, and I'm going to return my leased car also.
So I put baskets of people together based on budget and based on time frame. So if you're buying a car that's $15,000 and under, then what I would say to you is we have something on the horizon. We have tax time that's coming up, and what happens during tax time is that dealers they'll sell all the cars. People get tax refund checks and they spend them on cars. I know there's a lot of people out there saying nobody's getting any money back, or inflation's so high that they're going to spend all of their tax refund check on their needs. And I can tell you, people are going to get that money, even if they have needs. They're going to spend it on cars. It happens every single year. It's going to happen just the same this year. So what that's going to do is that's going to push people that have tax checks of $6,000 to $8,000. They're going to rush to these dealer lots and they're going to buy in that range. They're going to have down payments for those vehicles that are under $15,000. So for that level of car, it's going to push the prices to the moon for about a month and a half, because dealers will sell all their inventory that they have in that. They'll rush to the auction. And I'll tell you that stuff that dealers would pay $5,000 for right now in the middle of February, in the middle of March, that stuff's going to spike to $7,000, $7,500 of what dealers actually have to pay for it wholesale. So that savings is going to be passed on to the customer. So the prices are going to be elevated by 20, 25% in that short amount of time for that budget vehicle. So if you're looking for a car that's under $15,000, what I'm advising you is to buy right this second before we get to this crazy time. But if you can wait 6 months, 8 months, wait. Now there's the other bucket of people who are buying cars over $15,000, and I can tell you that tax season really doesn't affect this range, especially if you're looking at a new vehicle. New vehicles don't really get hit by tax time. Yeah, they'll sell a few more vehicles, these dealerships that are in that range, because people have the available cash to put down payments. But the type of person that's going to be buying a new car, they're not rushing out to buy a new car because they got their tax refund check. So for the new car buyer, I'll say wait as long as you can. So if you're even looking at January, end of January to buy, if you can wait on a new car or the over $15,000 car, I want you to wait as long as possible, because the market environment's not getting any better. Even when we get this pop from tax time, even on the lower range vehicles, the prices are going to crash. And I say crash, but there's literally a crash in that $15,000 and under car that happens every year. The ebbs and flows of the car market, it happens every single year. Cars get pumped up during tax time and then they crash right after that, because these dealers get overexposed. They think that they're going to continue to sell cars because tax money's there, and just as soon as that tax money gets there, I clicked too soon. There we go. The tax money is poof, it's gone. People spend the money. They don't save the money to buy cars later, and dealers load their lot back up with even more expensive inventory, and then they can't sell it after the fact. So dealers stop going to auction beginning of summer, and that's when we hop back in and buy our cars. And I'll tell you what I'm doing personally for my car lot is right now we're buying a lot of cars. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, we had around 60 cars, and today we have 96, 97 cars.
It's a little less than that.
Yeah. So, well, we sold a few yesterday, but we have somewhere around 100 cars, 90 cars, somewhere around there right now. And my goal is to have 150 by the time February 1st rolls around. And that's what we're doing in preparation of that, because what I want to do as soon as tax time hits, we're going to stop going to the auction, because we know the craziness that happens, and we want to go ahead and get ahead of it. And then whenever all these other dealers get overexposed and they can't sell and they stop going to auctions, that's when we jump back in and go buy. So we'll go on like a month and a half vacation from buying cars. And that's traditionally what we do every single year, and we'll sell out. It's just a factor of even during hard times, the tax refunds, they're coming. Even if it's harder, even if everything costs more, it doesn't matter. And I know there's going to be people in the comments that are arguing, well, people are not going to have money. They're going to have to spend it on the credit card bills, whatever. Yeah, they already have that stuff out there, but people are foolish with their money and they're going to spend it on cars. And that's what happens. That's what's going to happen. We're going to have these 150 cars and we're going to sell them all. And if you disagree with me, subscribe to the channel and watch the videos coming out, because I'm going to document the whole tax time experience. You're going to see us load up. You're going to see our our separate lot that we have that we're going to be storing these cars. I'll show you all the cars we have, what we're selling them for, and then after tax time hits, I'm going to show you an empty lot. That's what I'm going to show you. So you might be watching this and not even know this, but this is a brand new channel. So if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, it would really, really help me out.
When is tax time over? I think the timeline for buying after that might be useful.
So generally what happens, it usually hits between the middle of February and the end of February. And what we go on is we go on like a 10-day tear as soon as the first money hits. And then it kind of trickles out. But I'll say if you're looking at the whole range of when prices are going to be crazy on the dealer side, it's probably right at the end of February to the end of March, and then dealers will hold on to these high prices. We've seen that they know how to be stubborn. They're going to be stubborn. So throughout April, and then beginning of summer is when I would say tax time is over, and when you can start poking on these dealers that have the lower end. Remember, I'm talking about the lower end, the under $15,000 range. The upper end's not going to get hit by it. These dealers are really not going to be all that affected by it. So it's just going to be a downtrend for them. But the dealers that sell stuff like I do, $5,000 and under, $10,000 and under, $15,000 and under, those are the dealers towards the beginning of summer that should, if they were foolish, that actually should be in a pinch at that place. At that point, especially if they're on floor plan, and if they have floor plan payments coming up, that's about your 60 to 90 days after tax time hits, after they spent too much on these vehicles. That's when they start to get hurt. And even in non-crazy times, we see this happen every year, and dealers have to get rid of stuff that they pay too much for. So you can throw all the crazy high prices out the window. This is what naturally just happens in the car market every single year.
What are the risks of buying an older car with low mileage, less than 8,000 a year average?
So if it's an older car and it doesn't have very much mileage at all, what I would be concerned about is if the car has sat for a long period of time. Cars are designed to be driven. They're designed for their inner working parts to be lubricated, fluids to go through the system. Converters want to be heated up. And those are the kind of things that I would be concerned about with a car like that, because it's been probably garage kept. It's been sitting in somebody's garage for a long time, and the fluids haven't been moving through the system. So the first thing that I would want to do is it doesn't matter if the oil was changed 1,000 miles ago. If that car sit for a very long time, go ahead and get the oil changed, get your transmission fluid changed. Anything that really has moving parts going through it, I would want to check those systems. And one of the biggest things that we deal with if we ever buy a car that has been sitting, now we're buying from auction, so we don't know it's been sitting before that, but a telltale sign for us is when we get it back to our lot and the converter's clogged up, and we have to run like fuel treatment through it to get the converter extra hot to be able to just blow it out. The converters have like a honeycomb system in them, and if there's uncombusted fuel, it's carbon. It basically just plugs up these holes that are in the converter, that is the honeycomb system that is used to actually filter your emission system that's going through your exhaust. And if the fuel is not combustive, it doesn't get hot enough to go through the system, it can clog it up. And that's the biggest problem that we see with cars that have been sitting a long time. And converters, they're not cheap.
Philip says, I'm looking to buy a used RAV4 Prime. With used cars that are slightly used, do you think it's best to wait? Will tax time affect prices for that price range, 30 to 35? Just 1 second. Let me switch to the other one.
All right.
Because that one's
he wants a RAV4 Prime, $30,000 to $35,000, and he's wondering if tax time is going to affect those prices. And
do you ever find CRV or RAV4 at auction that you purchase that have under 150,000 miles?
RAV4 Prime, love it. Love Toyota, everything about it. It's going to be best to wait, and prices in that range are not going to be affected by tax time. So I'm not worried about you holding on for to see what happens at tax time. It's not going to affect the prices of those RAV4 Primes. So you want to put yourself on the timeline that you can push out the longest, because we're seeing inventory build. Even with Toyota, even with Honda, these dealers are building inventory, the prices are only going to get better. Incentives are only going to get more coming from these manufacturers. Special interest rates. I don't want you to borrow money for a car, but if you're in that camp that does want to borrow money for a car, interest rates will be better because these manufacturers have to incentivize buyers because these dealerships are getting loaded up, even on these higher demand vehicles like a RAV4. We went to a Toyota dealership. It was probably 2-3 weeks ago. And this is a Toyota dealership that 2 months ago had 0 RAV4s. And I've been to that Toyota dealership over and over and over, and I've never seen a RAV4. And they had 17 sitting out there. So it's getting worse for these dealers, and they're going to have to lower their prices if they want to sell. All right, part 2 of that question.
Do you find CRV or RAV4 at auction that you purchase that have under 150,000 miles?
Yes, it's very rare for us to buy it in our range. So we are a dealership that we try to sell everything that we have on our lot for $5,000 or under. And when you're doing that, we're priced out of a lot of RAV4s or CRVs that have under 150,000 miles. Usually what we'll find them for is right around 175,000 that we can actually buy. But it's very difficult even then with 175,000 miles for us to find something, because what we have to pay for that car is $3,500 wholesale. So I can sell it after we have fees, after we have repairs, after we have inspection, for us to actually get to where we can sell it for $5,000. Because I mean, obviously we're not a charity. We have to make money. And generally what we'll make is between $1,000, $1,200. I think our average is right at $1,100 that we make. So for us to price it under $5,000, we have to buy it for $3,500 or back of that. And it's very tough to find a CRV or a RAV4 that's in good shape. And we want to buy cars that are in good shape for under that $3,500 amount.
With a specialty high in demand car like Bronco Raptor, do you think prices will come down soon on them as well? All dealerships that I can find with them in inventory are still over MSRP by 10 to 25K.
It's interesting that you ask about that specific vehicle, because we were at a Ford dealership 2 weeks ago, and I saw one of these Bronco Raptors, Raptor Broncos, whichever word comes first, and it was being sold at MSRP. So search around. You can absolutely find them. It's probably going to take maybe a trip out of state. It's maybe going to take some calls, but you can absolutely find even the specialty stuff right now. There's a dealer out there that's selling stuff at MSRP. So yes, you can find it, and you can find it right now for MSRP. You just got to dig.